excited. And after this segment, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button. We'll have more episodes for you in weeks to come.
Fellas, ladies, checking in. I hope that everybody feeling good right now. Before we get started with the show, I just want to run down and give my opinion on a couple of hot topics this week. One of them was the Drake and Kendrick Lamar diss. Let me say this. I'm a 90s guy. So when I look at real beef, I look at this as fun beef, competitive beef. I don't think nothing going to come out of it but just good music. But I would say this here. This been longing for a long time for Drake. Drake just felt like he was untouchable. They always taught me, what you do when the rabbit got the gun. Well, right now, the rabbit got the gun, and that's Kendrick Lamar. So, right now, I think Kendrick put out, 4 diss records this week? Listen, I'm not current on rap right now, but talking to people who current on rap, they just say gracefully he bow down. He take this L, and like my boy Kamari say, let's go back to making good music and making the women's laugh and dance and bob in the club, because this is serious damage for him. But for right now, it's fun. It look good. It's good for the music. It's good for the culture. Just hope nothing comes out of this. No violence. And just nothing but good time and great music and being competitive about it. I just hope other rappers see that it's cool to be competitive, but you don't have to take it too far. And we're just going to continue making good music. But, all right, we're going to let Kelly start off. She got a couple of things on her mind this week, a couple of questions she wanted to ask. She felt like last week she was on the hot seat, but like I keep telling her, there's no hot seat here. There's just whatever's your opinion. You can talk about it. You can reflect it. You can give it, and you just always try to give your best opinion. If you could add a couple of experience to it, add a couple of experience that touch you, how I got you through life, because I was always taught through church, one person coming in the storm and one person coming out of it. So the person that's coming out of it can help the person that's coming in the storm. So that's what we're here for. I always tell people when I ask them at my job, I'm not judgmental. I don't care what you do, how you feel. Well, to a certain degree, how you feel. But I'm not going to be a person that talk bad on you, talk down on you. Look at you totally different. That's what made me come up with this whole concept of a podcast. Because like I was telling a friend of mine yesterday, I just feel like people giving, what she said? She said something to me that was real good. She was talking about her friend going on dates, and she showed me pictures of the young man's on dates. And she was like, Marcus, she wasting her time. And I said, why is she wasting her time? She said, because these guys is not her preference. And I said, well, you know her preference? She said, yes, Marcus, I know this since we went to college together. I said, what you think happened? She said, well, Marcus, you always say people get caught up in this new era, internet, and want to be down. She said, Marcus, I always tell people, it's okay to listen to the internet, but don't let the internet change your preference. And when she said that, that hit me, and it made me come up with a line. I said, use the internet for reference, but not preference. Use the information back in the day, you have to go to the library, get a reference card to look up whatever information you need to look up, study whatever information, a encyclopedia, so you have to get a reference card. Well, use the internet for reference, not your preference, because I see a lot of people, they change their preference because what's trending. So I will always say, you're the trend. So don't let nobody change who you are. You the subject, you're the table, you're the authentic version of yourself. So that's my opinion. I always like to try to start something good when I start this show. Like I always tell somebody, I'm going to try to find a way to motivate you, because I look for motivation every day. Some days I wake up and I just be tired and I just don't know how to press through. But then I find something within myself, something around me, something I need to do to get motivated. So that's all I'm here for, and just to give my personal opinion. And don't take nothing what I say too serious. If you have any problems with what I say or what advice I gave, you can always go back in the chat, hit me up with how you feel, and listen, we can both talk about it, we can both reflect from it. So I'm no longer finna talk no more. I think I did enough to open up the show. Kelly got a couple of questions. She said she want, a couple of her friends got a couple of questions for guys. And listen, my guys have a whole bunch of questions. They have a whole lot of ideas. And like I always tell people, going through therapy made me realize it'll unlock your mind. It's like some of the things that you used to believe and some of the things you used to see, you got to go back and question that, and you got to sometimes reflect on yourself. So listen, I have no problems with what the women want to know and what the guys want to know. That's what we're here for. So I'm going to swing it over to Kelly. She got a couple of questions. Go ahead, Ms. Kelly.
Good afternoon, guys, and thank you for tuning in. Actually, I'm going to piggyback off of Marcus. Absolutely. We want you to come in and give your comments, whether it's negative or positive, and if there's anyone out there that we could motivate and bring up their self-esteem, absolutely, we're here. Now, as far as my ladies, it's just only a couple of questions so far, but I will have questions in the future. But one of my questions was, why do when a man have a good woman who cook, clean, make love to him, do everything for him, keep herself looking sweet and sexy, they want to go around and fool around? Why can't they just be happy with what they have? That's one question. One other question I was asked is, why do black men, when they get a lot of money, they go and take it over there to the white women? Why do they have to get a white woman? Why can't they take care of their sisters? But when they get money, they go over to the white women. That's a couple of questions I'm throwing out there right now that I was told to ask for right now. So if anyone has any input, please, 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 please send us your comments, and we'll be happy to respond.
Well, you know what? Those are some good questions. Actually, I'm gonna be honest with my fan club, with my followers and people who tuning in. This is a conversation I had 2 weeks ago with my therapist, because we just like to run a couple of names down. When I run a couple of names down to her, I just say, hey, when you think of this person, what do you think? And we kind of center around that. We were talking about a couple of sportscasters, and we found out they was dating white women. And my first thing that I said to them was, well, they probably tried black women in the past, and they realized that it didn't work for them. I said a couple of guys I'm gonna throw around, the Dennis Rodmans of the world. He said that when he was young, he tried a couple of black women, and it just didn't work out for him. So once again, I just think that when I look at it overall, you got to understand today, a lot of guys feel like, why, and my therapist made a good point of this, a lot of guys feel like, why I need to get a strong feedback. Because she always say, Marcus, women for years had to put on white gloves and tiptoe around the guy. What we're not going to do in 2024 is tiptoe around the guy. So we're going to voice our opinion. We're going to let them know how we feel. And most men, like she told me before, she was like, Marcus, let's be honest with you. Most men, you can't really tell them the truth. I said, wow, what do you mean by that? She said, Marcus, most men, you can't tell them the sex is whack. I said, why you say that? She said, because certain men can't handle that. Certain men will probably get physical with you. Certain men will probably cut you out. Certain men will probably put you down. Some men will probably make you not feel like a woman. So it's just certain things. As a woman, a woman can't voice to a man. But let it be known, when a woman do voice those opinions, it seems like it's too aggressive from a man. So like she said, Marcus, if a man be real, he want a woman to say, yes, ma'am, no problem. I do that for you. Yes, you want that done, honey? Yes, I do that right now. And like she said, Marcus, this is 2024. Most black women I know, they the breadwinners. They the ones holding down the house. They the ones taking care of the house. They the ones bringing in all the money. They the ones making all the smart decisions. So we're not tiptoeing around, man. So I do see those numbers spiking from where they was back in the days. And now let's admit a few things. Certain white women are starting to look a little bit better. Especially, let's talk about the Spanish women. Some of them is looking a lot. They go to the gym. They keeping their body in shape. And listen, this is my very thing that I talk about with women all the time. What is wrong with being submissive? When I talk to a lot of co-workers, and especially my therapist, she was like, Marcus, my last relationship, I was a breadwinner. I was taking care of the bills. I basically basically had to raise him. So how you want me to be submissive to a dude like that? How you want me to be submissive to a dude with bad credit? How you want me to be submissive to a dude who's not making good, wise for financial decisions? And hell, let me be honest with you. I'm the discount. I said, what you mean by that? She said, well, I'm gonna say it like this. You would never got your own place until you moved in with me. And then when I got my car, can you co-sign for me? No, I'm not co-signing for you. Because if your parents can't trust you, if your sister can't trust you to co-sign for you, and if the bank can't give you a loan, what I'm supposed to trust you just because of your woman. So you have a lot of that going on. So I would say that has a lot to do with it. So it's a combination of all things, the less aggressive, hostile. I just feel like, listen, and it's cool for me, for you to share your opinion on this. I just think that it's more the other race is more easier to get in line when it comes to support and building something. Because when you talk to most black women about that, oh man, they look like a pit bull about to eat your face in if you ask them about support and asking them about being submissive. So I just think naturally that the other race is easier to conform to when it comes to that. But that's just my opinion. If anybody else have something to say about that, that's just my personal opinion. But I'm gonna answer the other question, but I'm gonna swing it back to Kelly to see if she have anything to comment on what I just said.
Well, basically, a lot of it I do agree with your therapist. We are strong women. We are very supportive. We're pretty much self-made women. And as far as, a lot of black women, they do have attitudes. But at the same time, you've had black women who have struggled with these men from the beginning, okay? And when they were nothing, when they had nothing, and then when you get something, then you go and you take it over there to the other race. And it's a known fact, okay? It is some black women who have been with men when they didn't have a dime, one dime to their name. So yeah, I'm gonna say, you know what? I don't totally agree with a lot of that what you said, but this is my personal opinion. And hey, if we have any feedback out there, please let us know. We want to hear from you.
Cool. I would like to also address the elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. The other elephant in the room was, why do a man who has everything go outside and cheat outside his relationship when he has everything? My question to you, I'm gonna piggyback what my therapist said. I give her a lot of credit. What is everything? What is everything?
Well, the women that I spoke to, everything was to them. I said, and I asked the same question. They said, I cook, I clean, I make love, I give him good love, I'm keeping up my body, I'm keeping up my look. And then you want to turn around and you want to go look at Jane, you want to go look at Sue, you want to go look at Paula, whoever. So that's what in their mind, they're everything. I'm a dime piece. I'm cooking for you every day. I'm giving you, making good love. You're telling me the love is good, but I guess it's not enough. That's what my ladies are telling me. So,
well, I would ask the ladies this: is you supportive?
And I'm sure they're supportive, and they're saying they're supportive of their man. They're with their man. They're supportive of their man, 100%. That's what these ladies is telling me. And that's the question I had to throw out there to the guys, because so far there was only 2 questions. But like I said, I will have more questions for the men soon, just like you guys are going to have questions for the women soon. So hey, let's just talk about it.
Well, I say this here. That's been a question that's been going around for a very long time, and I ask my coworkers the same kind of questions. And when I really broke down with my therapist, and like I said, I give her a lot of credit because she locked my mind. I would say this here, and she always she always flip it on the man. She said, Marcus, we blinded by, and she said, let's get this clear. That's her favorite word. Let's get this clear. We're blinded by how successful a man is. We're blinded that, okay, the Mr. Deion Sanders of the world, he has money, he has the swag, he has everything. But is he nice? Is he loving? Is he caring? Do he talk to you any kind of way? Do he put you down? Do he build you up? So when a woman said, okay, I cook for you, I clean for you, I keep my body up, okay, make love. Those are some of the basic things that I feel like that's in a relationship. But some of the other things that I would say that count too. do you care? Do you understand me? Is you also evolving? Is you also trying to build us up where we can be better tomorrow and not just up to date? Do we communicate very well? Do we understand each other very well? It's a lot of things that I always say that there's no perfect relationship because I believe there's no perfect guy and there's no perfect woman. So it's going to be always a thing in life that we got to also constantly get better at. And even me going through therapy, she made me realize, like, hey, Marcus, listen, the things that you used to do at 25, you 40, those things just may be out of my palate. And I said, give me an example of that. She said, well, Marcus, you understand why the bougie restaurants is now in style now instead of the Chili's and the Fridays? She said, look at it like this. When I was broke, my boyfriend used to take me to Chili's. He used to take me to Friday. I'm making $100,000 a year. You think I still want to go to those restaurants? No, I want to go to some better restaurants. So when she said that, she said, is the person evolving? Is the person getting better? Or is the person still on the same thing they was 10, 15 years ago? And just because you were doing those things 10, 15 years ago to make me happy, doesn't mean that those are the same things today that make me happy. Nowadays, I may want to go on a nice vacation. A nice vacation back in the days when we didn't have no money was to clean up our house and relax and find something interesting to do while we in the house. Well, now I'm 40 years old. I may want to experience the world. I may want to go on a trip. The things that you used to tell me no before, I need to start hearing yes now. So when she started telling me that, I started looking within myself and say, wow, I never really looked at life like that. I just looked at life like, because she always taught me, she said, Marcus, the problem with most relationships, they stay in survival mode. And I said, what you mean survival mode? She said, meaning that you still stay stuck in the same situation. You used to struggle to keep $2,000 in the bank. Now you got 10. You got to transform your mind and say, listen, I don't used to do that no more. So now, since I got 10,000 to piggy bank over the first question, now that you're more successful, why you go over to the white woman? Well, bring me along with you now. Since you got 10,000 now, let's go to Prime 112. Instead of us doing Fridays all the time, let's try something different. So when I look at that, I said overall in a relationship, I just believe that when it comes to a relationship, one stop pressing and one still pressing. And when you have that, that's a conflict of interest because you got one that's still staying the same and one that's trying to press to want more. And we watch shows like Power. We see that with Ghost. We seen that he was always trying to elevate his business, but all Tasha did was look at him was as a drug dealer. So when you look at as, man, baby, I did that 10 years ago and I was good at it and I'm still good at it. But now I want to take that same mindset that made me a drug dealer, made me successful, and put it into business, and you don't get that support, it didn't matter how good Tasha looked. And Tasha was supportive. Tasha cooked like you always know she did, and she took care of the kids, but it was just something about her that was missing. The missing part was she didn't support the new avenue of the way he looked at life, that he wanted to transform from the streets to business and to politics. And when you don't have that from a woman, I don't care that she have all that, you searching for that for the next person. So you may meet the next person, they say, wow, Marcus, you smart. Wow, Marcus, I seen you build yourself up. Wow, Marcus, I seen you became a self-made man. Wow, Marcus, I see you doing your thing. Wow, Marcus, I see you trying to go to the next level. Wow, Marcus, you a masculine man. Most of these men now want money from a woman. You don't want no money from a woman. You want to build her up, but the same person you stay in the house with don't see that from you because all they see was 15 years ago. So sometimes I can drive a wedge in a relationship, and sometimes I can have you looking for more in a relationship, and that steps outside of a relationship. That's just my honest opinion from it. I'm not saying that that's everybody's situation, but most of my guys who self-made men, who still self-made men, who still, because my therapist said, Margaret, it's a handful of y'all that take care of y'all business. Meaning, when she break down her relationship with me, she said, man, I had to take care of a dude. I had to budget his bank account. I had to make sure he had enough money to pay his bills. He was still taking his check and going to the check cashing place. He's cashing it at Walmart. And he's 40 years old. He got to sit down and talk to his mama. Oh, mama, can you show me how to pay this bill online? And I laughed. I said, what? I said, he still got to do that. I said, bro, I said, after 18 years old, budgeting a checkbook, trying to ask my parents how to pay a bill, that's on my responsibility. So I understand if a woman is doing that for a man and he steps outside of a relationship, that's very hurtful. That will feel like, man, you feel very slighted when it comes to that. But for a man who's doing everything, who has everything, and he steps outside of a relationship, there's something missing in that relationship that y'all lack communication of, that y'all need to sit down, whether it's a three-party conversation or whether it's just you and you conversation, somebody need to sit down and have that conversation. It's going to be a tough conversation, but it's got to be a conversation that is tough. It's going to be hard, but you have to address the elephant in the room. And that's just my honest opinion about it. Like I say, most women, I'm pretty much sure, going to blow me up in a conversation and say, Marcus, that toxic, because my therapist said all the time, yes, Marcus, you got masculine energy, but you also got toxic energy. And I said, what you mean by that? She said, toxic masculine energy. Let me get that word straight. And I said, why you say that? She said, because you feel like you always co-sign for a man. And she said, I think the reason why you do that is because you look at most men's, they should be similarities to you. But I'm going to tell you from a person who outside, who date, I'm going to say it just the way she said, most of these people ain't got their shit together. They're 40 years old, still living with their parents, don't know how to balance a checkbook, and want to take me on a $50 date. I ain't fucking with that. I don't want that because I can take my own self out on a $50 date. So why would I settle for a nigga to take me out on a $50 date and I don't even go on $50 dates? When I go out and have a good time, I have a blast spending over $100. So I would never settle to let a nigga take me out on a $50 date. So when I look at that overall in a relationship, I just say both sides have something to do with that.
Okay. And it could be lack of communication, as you said. She's thinking it's all good, but it's not all good because evidently it's not all good because he's out there messing with Tom, Sally, Jane, and Sue. So it's no communication there. It's not lack of communication. So that's a good one.
And for my brothers who do that, I would say this here. For my brothers who go around and look outside of a relationship, you got to ask yourself, any new relationship you start, you got to provide energy. Is it better for you to put the energy back into something that you know you can make it work if you was to try to reapply yourself and try new energy? Because most of my guys, I just think that we get to a point in life where we feel like we don't want to invest no more energy into that. And I get those guys. I understand those guys. We talk about them all the time. But I say this here. The same thing that showed up in your past relationship is going to show up in your current relationship. It may take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, but down the road, you're going to hit a stumbling block and say, man, I thought we was on the same page 5 years ago. But when you look at your previous relationship, it started off everybody being on the same page. And then eventually 5, 6, 17 years later, you go about being on something else. So I would definitely tell my brothers, look here, sit down, have that very important conversation before you do it. Now, I've been in relationships where people didn't want to have those conversations. We said, let's sit down and talk about it, see how we can reinvest our energy and try to make this work. And the young lady look and say, man, I don't care to hear what you got to say. Now, when they get to a stumbling block like that, I say reevaluate yourself. Go back. I tell people all this, especially black people, because black people don't feel like a therapist is not important. But a therapist is very important. God put these people in the world, and people always pray, oh, I'm going to pray on it. But God put medicine in the world. He gives the knowledge to doctors to create these medicine, to create these philosophies and all that. So go back, see a therapist, and if you guys can have a three-way conversation, because sometimes the conversation can't be settled between you and the person. There has to be a third party involved, because the third party will make you see your flaws too. So have that conversation. If it doesn't work, fellas, on one person to say, move on with your fucking life. Do not sit around and wait for another person to fulfill something that they can't fulfill and give it to you. Because all that could be is that they lacking love within themselves. So if they lacking love within themselves, they don't know how to distribute love. So listen, get yourself together, go and see a therapist, and get your life back rolling again, because I'm going to always tell my brothers, and this is a motivation that I tell my brothers, and I would tell any woman, any man, any family member, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. listen to what I'm telling you again. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. As long as God give you breath, God give you a sounded mind, God give you a sounded physical attributes, wake up and be the best you can be. So that's how I feel about those topics when it comes to a man stepping out. You don't know what's lacking in a relationship. And at the end of the day, if they're not willing to sit down and be grown-ass people and sit down and talk about it, then it's time for you to move on with your life. And that's how I feel about anything. When it's certain, because I realize in life certain things, and I'm going to go back to what my cousin always say, and he's a school teacher. When he done teaching them kids for an hour and a half and they still don't get the same problem that he started with an hour and a half, he looked at me and I said, what's going on, Will? He said, I'm over it. And I take that word, I'm over it. When you over something, move on from it and don't stick there with it. But we're going to send it back to Kelly, see if she have anything to input on those things.
Basically, I'm going to definitely go with the therapy. Yes, I come from one of those old school where you pray, but definitely I think therapy is very good for anyone who needs it. I'm definitely down with therapy. And that's what I want to say. It's good. It's good for you.
And I would definitely say this. Let me piggyback. I know she said this. Let me piggyback. Let me address this too. I love the 90s, but being that I talked to a therapist, we did have some old toxic ways, right? And one of the old toxic ways is that a lot of women wasn't just happy back then. I realized that. She said, Marcus, I understand you see grandma, you see your mom, you see the aunties, you see all of them, and they stuck around in a relationship. But at the end of the day, some of those relationships wasn't healthy and some of those relationships wasn't good. And I said, for real? She said, Marcus, I know you disagree with what I'm saying, but she said, I know you disagree with what I say, but I say this sometimes here. Some of this stuff could be toxic too. Some of the ways, all this 50%, I said, why is the 50% so hard on women today? Because we seen, and I love to play this video on TikTok. A woman said, okay, I stick with a man if he go 50-50, but I ain't gonna also tell you that I'm gonna have an outside boo. And when she brought that up to me, I said, man, is it really that serious? She said, Marcus, I'm gonna say it like this. If a nigga willing to go 50-50 with you, he don't fuck with you. And I said, why is that? She said, Marcus, because if it was somebody he really was into, somebody he really liked, he'll get in formation. And I said, what is formation? She said, Marcus, you got in formation right. You worked 2 jobs. You took percentages away. You did what you had to do. You built yourself up where you was able to take control of the relationship and pay everything 100%. So if a nigga, and that's because you fuck with her. That's your inner goals, but you also fuck with it. Because even though that was your inner goals, you can say, listen, I'm making a certain amount of money. I still need you to pay 50%. So Marcus, when a dude tell me that that's a roommate. If a dude, a grown ass man, we ain't talking about somebody who started, like she said before. Now, if you 25, 26 years old, y'all both graduated from college, y'all going to get your own place. Of course, you expect for a while to be 50-50 or 60-40. But Marcus, for you to be a grown-ass man, 40-plus years old, and you still doing that, hey, the rent was $1,650. I need $825 of that. And you stuck on, I need that $825? Marcus, he don't fuck with you like that. So I understand when the women say, okay, yeah, you going to do 50-50? Well, I'm going to have an outside boo, a sugar daddy, because I'm tired of doing that 50-50. So I would definitely say that now that I realize certain things was toxic, but we just couldn't voice it. So now that the women's have all this TikTok, all this Instagram, and they can voice it, they definitely using their voice. And I'm just realizing a lot of things back then, even though it looked good from the young people say the optics of it, it was kind of toxic. And when I look at it, I was like, wow. Because like she said, Marcus, they take your money and you still living a regular hell of life. And I used to say, what is a regular hell of life? You still struggling. You driving around in a struggling ass car. You living check to check. Your apartment ain't no apartment or house, ain't got no hookup about it. You just living a regular ass life. And I said, damn, you can't go on vacation. You're always constantly budgeting your money. You're always complaining about money. You're never evolving. You're never growing. Women's is tired of that. And we took that from these men since Auntie, Grandma, and Big Cousin Shirley. We took all that. We we the ticket now. And now we the ticket, we gonna voice our opinion. So what I'm saying to you is, if we gonna fuck you tonight, that's our choice. If we ain't gonna fuck you tonight, that's still our choice. It ain't gonna no longer be a nigga choice. So when I say that, I go, wow, I never looked at it like that. But now I see that the women is saying that. So that's my opinion on that. I just say that we gotta all kind of figure it out. We gotta start back from day one. Do we care about each other? So that's where I'm at when it comes to relationship. We gotta start from day one. Do we really care about each other? So that's my feedback on that. Anything else you want to add to the table, Kelly?
Did a fantastic job as always. Absolutely not. Can't come after that one. Can't come after. Fantastic job.
Yeah, man. So with that, we just want to say that we want to spread love. Like I said before, my thing is, and I tell my therapist this, I want to get to the root of relationships, because I realize in relationships it's a lot of work, but it's like, you ever had a computer where it said, even a phone, we got new hardware, your phone got to be on for 10 minutes, we got to update your software. I think we living in a time today that we need to constantly update our software. And when it comes to relationships, you got to constantly evolve. You got to constantly update your software. And at the same time, I'm big on this, and we're going to speak about it a lot next week, because my goal is to have somebody to really speak about this, is that we got to get over this gaslighting thing. I think a lot of gaslighting comes from insecurities. Insecurities is the fact that you don't believe in what you're saying. So what you do is you flip-flop on a person who believes in what they're saying and make them don't believe in what they're saying, so y'all could both be eye to eye and be on the same thing. So I definitely say that that's one of the things that we need to talk about, because as I'm realizing, as I am evolving, that I realize a lot of people do that in relationships. And they don't have to be woman and man, it can be any relationship. Even my therapist always explained it to me. She always talk about when she went out there and got her Maserati car, and she said she was splitting bills with her man. And she said that her car payment was $1,000 a month. So their bills came up to $3,000 a month, not including her car. So she said, hey, I need the $1,500 for you, because the bills is due on the first of the month. He would say, oh, well, I only got $900. And she said, what happened to the other $600? He said, well, if you had an expensive car, you wouldn't worry about my $600. And she used to always say, what my expensive car that I pay for has something to do with where you sleep. So she was like, Marcus, that's the first example of gaslighting. You try to make me feel like me being a self-woman and doing better for myself. I was wrong for that. So I think a lot of people do that in a lot of relationships. No matter whether it's woman or man, any relationship, a person will gaslight you because the insecurities and the lack of accountability on their part. We'll discuss more of that next week. But man, this relationship thing, that's why I always stay a hot subject, because it's like love. It's constantly evolving. The same way I loved you at 25 or 50, I may not love you the same. So it's a constant evolving. It's a constant thing that always has to be updated. And we're just going to spread our wings and fly away and give the best examples of all these situations, because all these situations is very important in our daily lives. And we'll just go from there like that. Anything you else want to say on this segment?
Well, since we're going to be talking about relationships, I guess I'm going to be very educated, because I haven't been in a relationship since my divorce. So you guys are going to be educating me as well, and I'm open to new ideas.
And listen, being that you haven't been in a relationship in a while, let me tell you something what I'm learning every day. Boy, it's hard out here. Listen, my friend showed me some pictures of guys. She went out, I'm give you a personal experience. She went out with a guy on Bahama Breeze. I don't know if I can show you my phone. When she sent me that picture, I said, wow, where did she meet him at? And what's that black app called? Everybody know the popular black app, BLK. Everybody, listen, my Uncle Lanier, shout out to him. You know I love him dearly. I talk to him, we text every day. He on the BLK app. And let me tell you something, Miss, listen. She met him from the BLK app, and they went out to Bahama Breeze, right? It's funny to me. She told my friend, she said, listen, I'm going to drop my location. And she said, why you going to drop your location in case something happened to me? She sent me over a picture of this guy. I said, wow. I see why, and I love my uncle. You know I love him. I said, I see why my uncle feel like he the shit. I said, because these guys look like weirdos. When I say weirdos, they look like straight weirdos. So I understand why the people who has the real swag feel like they one of one, because the guys that out here on this app, man, they look like straight weirdos. And the thing that I love of what my uncle always say that separate him, to make him feel like he has the swag, the ego, he had that since day one, so he's gonna die that way. But makes him feel like he's one of one is because he self take care of himself. Meaning he has his own apartment, his own car. Let's say it like this: he drives a foreign, and the young people will love this. He always tell me, he said, nephew, if it ain't foreign, it's boring. So he has the foreign, he has his own place. He's a working man. He takes care of himself. He do what he has to do. So he feel like right then and now he has the edge on most men, because this guy that she went out with at Bahama Breeze, he was 42 years old living with his mom. He was 42 years old talking about he complaining that he has to, the bill came up to $125. He looked at her and said, can you at least get the tip? All I'm saying to her, my friend said, Marcus, see, this is the problem with these niggas. It's like you interviewing me. What about me interviewing you? Now you want a second interview. You know, back in the days, I tell people things are so different now. When you used to have to get a job, you have to come back and get a second interview. Nowadays, these jobs are so desperate to hire you. As soon as you give an interview, they just hire you on the spot. But back in those days, you used to have a second interview to see if you worked the process to get put on. Now everybody feel like I just show up and I get put on. And that ain't the case of the relationship. And that's what happened to this era. I call it a microwave era. Everybody want a speed prostate. No, you got to clean that meat. You got to season the food. You got to let it sit overnight. You got to let it marinate. Right now, everything ain't marinated. This guy feel like, hey, I spent $125. Can you come home with me tonight? I live with my mama, but I got my own side entrance door, so you can come in through the side. And she was like, Marcus, these cats thinking they spending $125 is gonna get some pussy from me. So listen, what I'm trying to tell any woman who's single, it is a scary moment in your life. That's why I tell all the women, you sure you can't work this thing out with what you got going on with your current man? Now listen, I ain't telling the woman to stay with a man who cheats. I ain't telling the woman to stay with a man who abuse you, mentally, verbally, or physically abuse you. I ain't telling you to stay in that. If he's like that, then I'm telling you always in all areas to leave that motherfucker right where he's at. But let me tell you something. It's a cost to go out here and you see them. Because guess what? These guys is weirdos. You can't trust them. They don't want to grow up. I always tell every man, if you're willing to embrace responsibility, you got the edge over most dudes in this generation. But most of these dudes just don't want to grow up. So listen, shout out to Kelly. She's single right now. Anybody got something to say in the chat? Maybe if you feel like what my girl Sade, because like I tell y'all, I'm going to brag on it. I'm a 90s baby. I don't get what's going on in 2024, but I'm like what Sade say. If you feel like you a smooth operator, hit us up in the chat and put your best line in. And maybe, hey, you can make it. You can take her from a single woman to a woman in a relationship. You never know. But shoot your best shot. But listen, this is how we're going to end it. We're going to end it like this. Come back every week. You're going to learn something. You're going to feel good about yourself. We're going to find some way to motivate you, girls. I believe in motivation. And you're going to find out how to be the best person you can be. Because that's what I'm on right now. My journey right now is to max out and be the best you can be. I always tell everybody, I even tell my kids, I tell everybody who I'm around, if somebody had your hands, could they play their cards better than what you play? That's my challenge to anybody. That's my challenge to anybody. If somebody had your hands, because sometimes what we do is we take our hands for granted. We take hands of entitlement. Oh, I was born into this, so I feel like it's rightfully mine. No, I wasn't born into nothing but having an opportunity, a chance to be in America. Because, like I said before, you talk bad about this country, but this is one of the countries that I can say, if you put it in your mind that you want to be something, you could. All you got to do is go out there and put in the work. So if you're willing to put in the work to be successful in your personal life, the same work that you got to take to be successful in your relationship life. So listen, that's how we're going to end it. We just gonna always find a way to motivate you. We got some things coming in next week. I'm very excited about. You gonna see this room transparent because I got some ideas, some new things. Because I'm really gonna throw my heart into this because I feel like what's gonna make us different is that we are authentic, we come with personal experience, and I'm gonna do my best to never lie to you. I tell you opinion that don't make sense. When I see a lot of opinions on TikTok, I just don't feel like it's rightfully right. And like what my boy Kamari will always say to me, he's on Instagram every day. Certain opinions need to be not said until a person get the maturity level to understand that opinion. Because I think right now, so many opinions out here, but so many people not mature enough to be able to swallow these opinions, and they on two lines of offense. It's like if you got one person that say, I don't need to work, and you got a person that say that I don't want to work, then you got a person say, I should work. If they hear a TikTok message saying, you don't need to work for nobody, you need to be at home, you need to be your own entrepreneur, you need to be this, you need to be that. What I learned through therapy, my therapist said all the time. She said, Marcus, you got motion, but everybody don't have that motion. Everybody don't have the motion to be able to balance different type of empires the way you were able to balance stuff. She said, Marcus, not everybody deserve the right to have their own business. Some people just need to work. Don't worry about no business, just go to work. So when she say that, she was like, Marcus, you can't look at everybody and say that they like you. Everybody ain't like that. But I always say that everybody got to find their preference. And that's our job here, to try to mold you in the right area to find your preference. If that's in a relationship, that's in a job, that's with your ambitions, that's with your goals, that's what we're here for. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But we got a lot of things in store. Just stick with it. I promise you, you'll never go wrong. Just stick with it. This is going to be barbershop at its best. Barbershop conversation at its best. And we're going to do our best. So anybody got something to say, hit us up in the chat. We do take donations. We do take any little startup costs. We'll take that. But if you don't have to feel like you're in church that you pressure to do a donation. No, we're going to make it by hard work and dedication. So we're going to close this thing on now.
All right, guys, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and always tune in to Conversations on Relationships. It's going to get better.
Yeah. So that's how we're going to end it. Just hit us up in the chat. All the videos should be uploaded this week, so you got all the chances to go through all these videos. We're going to make nice little snippets for you to get. We got a lot of things in store. So just stick with it, and I promise you, like anything else, if you stick with it, you put your head down, you always move forward. You'll never let somebody knock you off your box. As the young people would say, success is right around the corner. So have a good day. This is Sunday. I'm going to holler at your boy. We good. Hey, I'm finna go out here and get this money. I did this. Listen, let me tell you, all week, I've been uncomfortable all week. I usually have 2 days off. I had to work 7 days this week. We had a track meet. Shout out to all my track guys. They did good this week. The boys, we coming up. We on the come up. The guys is moving good. But, hey, listen, that's life. To be successful, you got to be uncomfortable. So I'm willing to be uncomfortable, and that's what it is. Let's get with it. We're going to close out this session. Holla at your boy.